Welcome to the Social Media for Business podcast, where I am your host, Rebecca Bridgen, from Innovate Social, specialists in managing B2B on-brand maritime social media. And today we will be speaking with Matt Pyke, Managing Director of Fly High Media, experts in digital marketing and SEO, including paid social ads. And we're thrilled to have you on the show. So welcome, Matt.
Well, thanks very much for having me, Rebecca. It's good to be here.
So Matt will be sharing insights into SEO for business, including his own journey, but especially in maritime. And we'll be reviewing why, as well as some great tips and ideas on how to increase exposure and messaging across business social feeds, supporting key business objectives. Let's have a bit of background, Matt, and tell us how you started. And you learned some huge lessons along the way, and now you're passing that on to your client. Tell the followers how you started.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I started back in university. So I started back in 2016, which is 9 years ago now. So I've been running Fly High Media for that long. And yeah, we specialize in digital marketing. I started out in web design myself. So I was building websites, and then the business model sort of changed, because when you're doing a website, it's a one-off project, and then you're working on it for a few months, and then you have to find your next one, etc. But I really found a business model that could help grow and scale through digital marketing. So when I was getting the website projects, I was able to expand from there because they're basically asking for it, so there's a demand for it. And I was kind of learning SEO through generating leads on my own website. So I was at university, didn't have any money to advertise. I'm pretty introverted, so I didn't want to go out and to networking events and that kind of thing. So yeah, I taught myself SEO, got on the first page of Google for Web Design Manchester. I got leads through that, and then it unlocked the love of SEO. So yeah, that's my story. That's how I started.
Pretty amazing journey that you've gone on yourself, and the growth in itself is a massive experience, isn't it? I think any small business can recognize that, but I think when you have had to learn it yourself, because it's in the best interest of, you either make it or you don't. That's a massive motivator, isn't it? Let's talk about building a brand online, because obviously this is a podcast about social media for businesses. So although you do a lot of SEO and things like that, it all actually bleeds into one, and it's all very beneficial to know. What are the biggest mistakes businesses make when trying to grow their brand online? And do you have any personal takeaways during your own journey from that?
Yeah, I think it's quite a common thing that people get the brand message wrong. So talking about things that they might find interesting. I mean, in my early days, I was a little bit guilty of that. So I was talking quite deeply technical SEO things, which the target audience isn't really that interested in. They're usually interested in business goals and objectives. If you do these top level things, then it's more likely to generate revenue. So translating everything to your audience correctly is really important. You should only do things that benefit your business. You shouldn't just jump on the back of every trend just for the sake of it. You should have a clear, consistent strategy, and building a brand takes time, and doing it consistently is the most important thing. So I think one of the biggest hurdles is not being consistent and getting the messaging wrong. So break it down into bite-sized chunks that your ICP understands. So your ideal customer persona, making sure that you know their pain points, and you're talking about that. You're showing that you know the solutions to their problems and how you overcome it, and then creates value to you, and people want to work with you. So getting that consistent messaging out there is important, and having multiple touch points as well, finding the right channels, finding the right platforms is all really important in growing a brand.
Yeah, because we just had a brief chat about TikTok and Instagram, because I'm not on Instagram yet. But TikTok has been something that quite a few people have talked to me about. We were having a chat about that because obviously we focus on maritime businesses, and a lot of my potential clients, actually, a big concern is the disparity between the generation coming up, blending in and communicating with the older generation that have got really great expertise, and they're struggling to communicate. So they're looking at marketing through channels that the younger generation coming up can understand. And actually, those mediums are bleeding into places like LinkedIn and things like that. So you've got the video shorts, and that is what the new generation is expecting almost, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, TikTok, it's got to be appropriate, but just because of the decision makers on TikTok, they may not be the ones that are writing the checks, but the people that are influencing it, the younger generation, they're usually on it. So they may find you through like top of the funnel things. So they might find certain information interesting, and then they dig a little bit deeper into it, and then they show it to the boss or the decision maker, and it's interesting. It's a good discovery platform, TikTok, and any sort of video, really. Video content's really powerful, and it connects people in a way that other mediums don't. So yeah, it just has to be appropriate, really. And
Yeah.
I think it's definitely important that more people are on the back of it, because the younger generation are coming through, and the TikTok generation are getting more influential. So it has to just be appropriate, and whatever you do online has to fit your brand tone and messaging.
Yeah. And I think you were talking about getting the messaging right. And it really is worthwhile really sitting down and hashing out what is it we do. And I've spoken to a few people about this, of finding their why, the why of the whole company existing. And it's not as easy as you think it might be, because I think we all think differently and then we can get distracted. And so actually spending a day just drilling down on what is the problem that your company is solving is worthwhile, not just for marketing and branding, but actually for the longevity of the business, full stop, really, and thinking of, subsidiary avenues that you can develop the business for sustainability to cope, in the future. But I think it's very, very good point of just really getting that clear messaging and then having everybody else on board with it. It's all right, just the marketing manager, that one person, and they've got a team of 50, and that just only one person's got that messaging. If everybody else is educated on it, they're all singing from the same hymn sheet, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think once you understand your why, everything else sort of slides in, and the purpose becomes clear. Like when we give clients things such as like content plans or strategies, then sometimes it just looks like a document, but the reason why we're doing things is to help improve the performance of the website, or the Google rankings, or
Yeah.
the revenue. If you explain the why, then it becomes easier to move forward.
Yeah, I 100% agree. So I'm going to go into the role of SEO, PPC, and paid social. For a lot of my audience, they might not necessarily know what that is. All the marketing folks out there will, obviously, but for those smaller businesses who are trying to do it themselves, this is could be a bit of an alien field for them. So could you please explain what SEO, PPC is for small business owners, and then how SEO, PPC, and paid social complement each other for a long-term brand growth?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll probably add in another one at the end, and that's email, but I'll start at the beginning. So SEO is basically, it stands for search engine optimization. So it's basically the process of getting ranked higher in search engines such as Google. So most people think that Google's just the only search engine, but there's others such as Bing, and there's other ones such as common like ChatGPT now. So we do things on websites. There's three main ranking factors. One of them is user experience. So you've got to have a website that's easy to use, easy to navigate across mobile and desktop. You've got to have good content on your website. So you've got to have good depth of topics. So you've got to make sure that you explain things well, and Google has a good understanding of the context of your website. So the more you explain and go into detail about certain topics, the better Google understands what you are, and then in turn it rewards you in search rankings. And then the third thing is to do with backlinks and authority. So the more websites in your industry and in your niche are pointing towards your website, the better. So years ago, you used to have to get thousands of links to your website, but it's all about quality in Google's eyes. If you think about it, Google's a business, and they want people to continue to keep coming back because they make revenue from the ads. So they only want to show the best results at the top. And the way they do that is by looking how authoritative the website is. Otherwise, the trust is off. So that's the organic side. So first of all, you'll see the ads, and then you'll see the organic side. But PPC, so pay-per-click advertising, they're the ones that you see at the top. So if you search for trainers, you'll see pictures of shoes. If you're searching for golf courses near me or whatever, you'll have like text ads. So the text ads, it's like an auction. So you're bidding on certain keywords. So you might have a £2 cost per click, or if it's in professional services, maybe it's law, maybe you'll get £50 cost per click. So it's all about being efficient, choosing the best keywords, and then optimizing towards them. And then social media, there's two aspects to it. There's the paid and the organic. So paid is getting a broader reach quickly. So you're paying Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn advertising to target certain demographics. So they'll get the demographics from the profiles of people that you've input. So if you put your job title on LinkedIn, if you're a marketing manager, then advertisers can target marketing managers. And then on Facebook, if you've signed up and you said your date of birth, year 2000, then they'll target people that are 25 years old. And then they break it down like that. So if you know your ideal customer, then you can target them on that at scale. And then the organic side to social is creating content. So you might have images, videos, and they're all really good ways of distributing content. So building brand awareness, organic reach can be quite difficult sometimes, but it's all our job to educate. Video does really well. So quite a lot of the platforms are trying to compete with the newer platforms such as TikTok.
Yeah.
So LinkedIn, for example, they like to push video as much as possible. And then the other one that I mentioned, email, is really good because if you get more people on your email newsletter, for example, then you can promote and advertise to them again and again. So you may do like a lead capture. So you may have like a download to a white paper or some research. And if you capture their email addresses, then you can regularly get in touch with them. So like once a week or something like that, or once a month. We try and do ours once or twice a week to be in the face of the B2B audience and offer as much value as possible. It's important to get the frequency right on that because you don't want to spam people and unsubscribe. So they're all really important, and it's all important in the stage of the marketing funnel. So you may get people in the top level through SEO, through doing informational searches on a certain topic, but then you can do remarketing on different platforms and channels. So if someone's researching like what is maritime, for example, then they find a blog that explains exactly what it is, and then they get hit with an ad on LinkedIn or Facebook, and then it reinforces the message. And then if you're across all those channels, you're getting all those brand touch points. I can't remember the exact number of touch points you need, but it's probably around 10 or more. So being across everything.
12, isn't it? Yeah, I think.
Yeah, probably about 12. Yeah. But in this day and age with that much noise around, it's probably even more. So you have to spend more time. But it's not really explaining about like what you do. It's about explaining the problems you solve and not just talking about you. It's about like the topic and giving value. Otherwise, you just won't. And I'd say that's where I went wrong with my business. Like early on, there wasn't enough value. I was kind of just selling the service or not getting the messaging right, kind of talking too deeply technical. You've got to talk in terms that your audience understands. And a lot of our clients, some of them are interested in traffic, but the bottom line is they're interested in revenue. So it's about talking to the right audience and that kind of thing, and having a clear sales funnel down to everything. So we do a lot of things. So we've got the blogs that we post on our website. We've got commercial landing pages that people convert if they're ready right there and then to leave an inquiry. But then we also do remarketing on social. And once people have got on our email list, either through downloading something or just sign up for the newsletter, we again use that to be another touch point regularly. So a mix of all those things over a consistent amount of time builds up a load of trust and people get to know you. And then you've got the bigger thing of talking of business branding and then personal branding as well. So a lot more people connect with people and personal branding because you're going to be doing business with a person. So I'm kind of the spearhead of Fly High, so I'm the human face to it. And typically, like when I send the email out, it comes from me. Someone else puts it together, but it comes from me, and I put my notes on it, and people build a connection with me, and then they come to Fly High because I think everyone's in the marketing space. You and I have probably seen it, but people compare like Tesla and Elon Musk. So Tesla, let's say they've got 10 million followers on Twitter or X, and then Elon's got like 100 million. You know, he's a person. So I might not agree with what he says at all, but you know, he's done a good job at building his own personal brand, and he talks to other people similar. So building a good personal connection is really good, and it's a huge growth area of things, of the whole market. Really, a lot more people are investing a lot of time and effort into it, and videos are a fantastic way of connecting people, and it's a lot more manageable. People consume content differently. People may just prefer listening or reading the captions to a video when they've got it on mute instead of reading longer form content. But it's important that you mash all the channels together, really, but you've got to be strategic about it and not just do it for the sake of it. And there's the 80-20 rule. So you've got to, I guess, like try everything to start with, and then whatever gets the best results, track the metrics, and then you just double down on them, really.
Absolutely. Because you were talking about paid ads, and I've had it so many times where I've sort of said to clients, you know, would you, especially those that are focused on lead gen, do you have any budget that you would like to do some paid social? And they go, oh, no, we'll keep it at organic. And it's almost like it's it's just too far a step. It's almost like businesses are waking up to the fact they need to be on social media and they need to be visible. And the social media element is a massive part of their marketing machine. But it's still quite new, especially for the older generation. So they're just, but we're doing it now. And so it's almost like they can't quite move to the next stage where you put a little bit of budget. And I don't know whether it's because they just have this misconception as to how expensive it is or what it actually is or how much it works. So I wondered if you could share a bit of insight into paid ads on social. And if you had to start, bearing in mind that our audience is maritime SMEs, if you had to start with just one paid channel, where would you recommend that they invest first? And what sort of costs roughly are they looking at?
Yeah, it's difficult to say cost, like depending on, the cost of the service, etc., margins and that kind of thing. But I think LinkedIn's maybe, it is quite an expensive platform, but it can be quite a high intent platform. I mean, a good place to start is probably with remarketing. So anybody that already visits your website, you can target ads back to them to try and draw them back to your website. I wouldn't run ads and try and say, yeah, get in touch today. We do X, Y, and Z. It's more so to try and nurture people, to try and come back in their own time, read more information. On a first date, like, you don't expect someone to be in a relationship with you straight away. You need to gradually have first date, second date, third date, fourth date, so on and so forth. You need to nurture a relationship with a business before you start moving forward. So remarketing is a good way if you're doing active marketing elsewhere. But if you're doing cold advertising, then Facebook could be a good option, or even off social, like you could look at Google ads. That's a good option. Depending on budgets though, like if you're brand new to it, you could probably start around £1,000 a month, and then you can start to gradually work up once you're feeling a bit more comfortable with it. It's always good to seek the help of a professional. If it's not cost effective enough to outsource and pay someone to do it for you, then you could at least hire somebody on an hourly basis where they'd go through and tell you the reason why you need to do this and the reasons of the things that you're doing and why they're important and what result this could yield. So I mean, with us, we do like a done for you, which is us doing all the services. There's a done with. So you might have somebody set the campaign up and then you check in with them every month, every other month.
And you can manage it.
Exactly, yeah. Or there's the do it yourself method. So you'd obviously speak to a consultant to start with, and then you'd leave the ad campaigns running yourself, and then you'd manage the campaign from there. Yeah, it just depends on budget, really, in your situation, your current understanding of it. If you're willing to learn and put the time into learning, then you can. But budget's completely dependent on how much time commitment you can put into it yourself as well, because obviously the more time you can spend on your business, not in it, the better, really. That's what I normally recommend. I'll kind of give a mixed answer.
No, it's a great answer. And there's lots of options. And I really like the fact that you said about dating, because I have made so many connections between your social media and dating, because it is like that. And just like you, when you get, and I was actually complaining about it this morning. As soon as somebody connects, you get that instant message where they're trying to marry you effectively in a business sense. And you're like, I don't even know you. I've never heard of your business. I've never heard of you. At least get to know me first. Let me see what's going on in your feed. And then I'm like, oh, okay, that's really interesting. Or you can gently nudge me in the direction of this is who you are, but don't flat out propose to me right in the first message.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
It's a great analogy, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I try and sell the business as an inbound agency. So like when people come to you, they're usually looking for a solution. Like outbound, like sending cold messages all the time. You have to really do that at volume, send hundreds or thousands of messages out. Can work in some industries, but for me, I find the best results in creating something of value, and then people come to you like when the time's right. You need like regular touch points, but selling from the start, it's just not worth it, because it's like going up in a networking event and giving someone a sales pitch. You need to ask questions about them, and the person that you send a message to, they might not even be ready to buy yet. So it's a bit of a, just because they fit the target demographic doesn't mean that they're ready to buy. So
I think I've used a ruder analogy with my friends, but I won't say it on the podcast. I'm sure you can imagine what that would have been.
Yeah.
But, going back to the paid adverts for social, there is actually one other option, is do it yourself completely, where LinkedIn, say, have actually training videos. LinkedIn's got great training section, and it's just getting better and better. But that said, if it's still an area that is just not your area, it is better to just get a little bit of help from someone who understands it and could get more for your bang for your buck. So the return on investment is there. I'm going to move on to the next question. What are some quick wins that SMEs can implement today to boost their online growth via their social channels? You've talked about consistent, but actually informational posts.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing to do is probably looking at where you're getting your leads from at the moment. Like, if you're heavily reliant on word of mouth, like have a look at where you're getting your leads from online. So you should be able to clearly see that in Google Analytics if you've got that set up, so you can see what pages people landed on and how they're conversing to your website. It's important to have a good sales funnel as well. So when people enter the sales funnel, that's when you start to nurture them. So they come in at the very top, and then when they start moving down, once they read the information, it's important to nurture them. You can do that through like retargeting. So again, like retargeting on LinkedIn or Meta, whatever you think's the most appropriate. And yeah, like whatever content I've already got. So if you've got a lot of blog content or got a podcast and you've got tons of video, repurpose it. Like that's a very quick win. If you say like, I've got no content, everyone's normally got content somewhere. It's about repurposing it and making the most of it. So, there may even be gaps on more niche things. Like there's more niche LinkedIn groups, for example, like try and build a community in there, that kind of thing. So yeah, repurpose. You spent the time doing it. So you might as well get the most out of it and maximize it and talk and rejig certain bits and post that out over a period of time, because your connections grow. You get new people that have never seen your content. And even when you post things out, organic reach isn't what it used to be. So the chances are that the followers that saw it might not see it again. That is kind of a quick win: repurposing content, retargeting, understanding a clear sales funnel. So yeah, but understanding what you're doing at the moment is probably key.
So for businesses with limited budgets, what's the best way to maximize marketing ROI? You talked about the community element, and actually in maritime, it is very relationship driven still. That's why I love maritime, because it is about the relationships. But actually we can have those relationships online digitally now. And that's how I came into social media, because actually I started Innovate Social in 2020, thereabouts. I was having to do sales in COVID in a B2B market where it was relationship driven. So what option did I have? I started in LinkedIn, and no, I didn't cold email people as soon as I connected. So I didn't ever do that, because I knew they weren't going to get into bed with me per se straight away like that. But actually I found that it was a great place to nurture those relationships, keep the conversations going, and be seen to understand that content and the world of the industry, because I think that's very important in any industry, that's selling within each other, that the people can see that you know what you're talking about. And so that's how I started. I think the community element on LinkedIn is really good, because LinkedIn is still putting people first above brands.
Yep.
If your brand needs to go first, you need to pay them some money. So, they're not stupid. I really like that. So going back to my question, is businesses with limited budgets, what's the best way to maximize marketing ROI?
Probably going back on the outbound, actually. So like if you do connect with your ideal customer, if you've got a community and you can start to build that. So like if you've got like a LinkedIn group or a valuable newsletter, when you reach out to somebody, you don't say, I do this service, buy from me. You say, I've got this community full of other people that can benefit from the latest news, updates, that kind of thing, and be really interesting for you. So because it's not a hard sell, it's in the nurturing process then. So that's free, but just generally writing really good content and thinking about what your target audience is searching, really. So there's a lot of advanced keyword tools that we use, but use a lot of free keyword research tools as well. There's one called Uber Suggest, and then even using ChatGPT now, that's really good. So you can put in a prompt like, my ideal customer persona is this. I need to come up with some topics in order to help them understand the problem and the solution to the problem, and then on your website write content around that answers it in enough detail as possible. And then what your target audience will be doing is searching for those pain points, and then when they read it, you're like, they're like, oh, that does sound like me, it resonates, then this is the solution to it. And then if they've got the option to, then they'll get in touch. But consistently showing up and answering as many questions as possible is really important. And then if they're searching other things, if they search like other things further down the road and then you come up again, then it builds up that trustworthiness and in the end, like that relationship. So yeah, writing really good content. It doesn't just have to be on your website, like building up a good LinkedIn network and base and not just accepting everybody, just posting on topics and pain points. And again, like if you've written that blog on your website, you can repurpose it for LinkedIn. LinkedIn newsletters are really good as well, actually, because once you post a LinkedIn newsletter and everyone gets a notification once you send it out, I think it's everyone, and you can track the analytics on that. So there's a lot of free things you can do. It just takes a bit of thought, strategy, planning, because it needs to be consistent. But it's all possible. Like, and with AI and ChatGPT, like if you're worried about a consistent plan and posting, say you put a list of your blog content that you need to post, so you could get it to create a social media content calendar for it. So ChatGPT will come out with something like post 2 blogs that week. The best time to share it on LinkedIn is 3 o'clock on a Tuesday or 5 p.m. on a Thursday or whatever, and it'll really help and guide you with that. Again, it's a free way to do it, and it'll give you really good direction, things that would have taken a long time to understand, because before AI, like it's really accelerated what businesses can do and people should maximize it.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember the first time I discovered it wasn't ChatGPT, it was Jasper.ai.
Jasper, that was me too.
Loads of marketing out for Jasper. And I just thought, what? No, it could possibly write things for me. That's crazy. That's just crazy. And I remember, I'm going to check this out. And I tried it, and I literally remember just sitting back going, wow, mind blown. I couldn't even articulate my thoughts.
Me too. I think it was 2020 or 2021. So it was COVID, wasn't it?
Yeah. And the speed, like what you were saying about ChatGPT becoming the new search engine, it's true actually, because it's really specific to what you want to look for. So when I'm writing articles and things like that, I'll say, do you know what? I want to understand this and I want this example. Is there such an article that is about this? Could you find it? Kind of thing. And then I can have a read through it and quote the article and whatnot. And I'm just like, wow, because you can't really talk to Google in the same way.
ChatGPT, they drag the data through from Bing, I think. Like Google's got their own thing, Perplexity.
I noticed Google's got the AI, but I didn't know if it was...
At the moment, they've got the AI overviews at the top of search results, but unfortunately, they're not very good at the moment. But if you've got really good SEO, just for an example, we got one this week. It was a really good one, actually. It was in one of the sectors that we work in. That came through ChatGPT. I'm not too sure what they searched, but we must have been authoritative enough to show up in it.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're writing good quality content, it's not just for Google, like it's across all search engines. So if you're following the best practices for Google, it's likely to be the same across anything that people are searching for as well.
Because that's the next thing on your radar, isn't it? To be SEO compliant for GPT as well. Which is, it just gets more and more and more complex as time goes on for digital marketing. But no, I read a blog about it the other day, actually, about how ChatGPT is you have to start writing for that as well to get seen. I thought, oh wow, crikey, mind blown. What emerging trends in social media should SMEs be paying attention to, if any at all, of course?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot, and I think we touched on a few before. Like most of the channels are trying to push video and short form video. So like YouTube alone, like they're starting to really push short. So they're really pushing out to the audience because they're trying to compete with TikTok. Same with Instagram and Reels, and then LinkedIn as well. They're trying to get in on the action. So video content on LinkedIn is going to be really big. The production of content is going to get a lot quicker and easier. So repurposing is going to be a lot better. So it's important that businesses are well versed in ChatGPT to see what you can do to repurpose it, because it's difficult to know where to start, and AI can help definitely like speed it up, I guess. Yeah, like AI assisted content for sure. Like you can't just put in something and say like, write me a blog about maritime. It has to be super specific. You've got to put in guidelines about your target audience. You've got to put in their pain points. You're basically writing the article and then they're just writing it. They're basically, expanding on it, that kind of thing. And then you've got to thoroughly edit it, add sources to it. I think AI is going to, as a whole, it's going to help speed up content production, repurposing, and then video as well. That's going to be huge.
So my personal question is there any video AI software out there that you would recommend that's actually coming in? Because I'm constantly looking at all of that to make my life more efficient and my clients more efficient as well. Is there any really good video editing software that you would recommend out there?
For like short form, there's one called CapCut, and then there's one called Captions or something like that, which is really good for short form content. So you upload it in that, but it basically helps transcribe things and then adds B-roll to it, that kind of thing. And yeah, that's really quick and easy to edit video, and it helps you do it at scale. So yeah, there's video, and then if there's it's a little bit more advanced and you have to know how to use it properly, but there's Sora, which is by OpenAI as well. So it can help move basic images into either video or like images into video, or improved images, like enhanced images, that kind of thing. So
I've seen it on there, but I haven't delved into it quite yet.
Yeah, I mean, I want to play with it, but I've got nothing really worthwhile to get out of it.
I think that's the active word, isn't it? I want to play with it. I think we're all like that. We're like, oh, this is more software to play with. What fun!
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you've got the tools and stuff for it. Like, it helps you speed things up, be more efficient, so you can spend things on the high level things like creating a strategy and coming up with new ideas yourself, and takes the heavy lifting off you.
So I'm going to ask you one final question before we wrap up the podcast. I've really enjoyed today as well. I always get so much out of these podcasts. I really do. So if you could give just one piece of advice to a business struggling to grow online, not grow, but just grow online, what would it be? And feel free to mention any personal struggles where you learned this the hard way and you now actively support your clients.
Sure, yeah. So I'd probably say if you're struggling now from the outset, you've got limited time, limited resources, find one customer persona, one platform, and one message, and try and get it out there. So be consistent with it. If it's LinkedIn, if you're a B2B business, try that. Speak in a way that your audience knows about. Like I said before, I struggled at the beginning with getting that messaging across. I used to talk deeply technical on certain topics, but businesses care about outcomes at the end of the day and their problems being solved. If they've got a pain point, you need to show how you can fix it. And if you use LinkedIn as a platform to do that, then that's really important. So focusing on one channel and platform to start with, and then branching up from there, repurposing what you've got. They're all good tips to get started.
That's it from us at the Social Media for Business podcast. A huge thank you to Matt Pyke for taking time out from Fly High Media of your busy schedule today and being our guest on episode 7. So Matt, where is the best place for people to find you if they have any questions from our discussions today?
Yeah, funnily enough, it's LinkedIn. So yeah, if you just type in my name, Matt Pyke, then you can find me. The agency website is flyhighmedia.co.uk. I've also got a personal website where I share top line business advice and guidance, all that kind of stuff, all packed of value, which is on my website, matthewjpyke.com, where I share like regular insights. So yeah, that's where you'll find me, primarily on LinkedIn. Fantastic.
I might be emailing you, Matt, for my own business. So thank you to all who have listened, and don't forget to comment with any questions or topics you'd like covering in the next episodes. And of course, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss an episode packed with tips from experts like Matt to help your maritime business become visible. So goodbye for now.